Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We've got an explosive story for you today involving none other than Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Recent revelations have surfaced that Starmer filmed his now infamous COVID-19 stay-at-home message not from his family home, as many believed, but from a lavish £18 million penthouse owned by Labour peer and major donor Lord Wahid Ali. The news has sparked a wave of outrage, and this scandal threatens to tarnish Starmer's credibility just as he was hoping to solidify his position as a leader. In this video, we'll break down the full details of the scandal, discuss how Starmer's relationship with wealthy donors like Lord Ali is raising eyebrows, and take a look at growing tensions between Labour and the Reform UK party. As always, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more updates like this. Your support really helps us keep bringing you the latest and most important political stories. Now, let's dive into this mess. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in hot water following revelations that he filmed a public stay-at-home message during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic from an opulent £18 million penthouse owned by Lord Wahid Ali, one of Labour's biggest donors. The broadcast, which took place in December 2021, was supposed to encourage the British public to follow strict lockdown measures, but Starmer's choice of location has now become the focal point of the scandal. Instead of using his own home, Starmer made it look as though he was delivering this heartfelt message from a humble family setting. Behind him, viewers could see family photos and Christmas cards, carefully placed to give the impression that this was his personal residence. But it wasn't. In fact, the backdrop was Lord Ali's extravagant penthouse, a move that now seems like a deliberate attempt to deceive the public. At a time when ordinary Britons were locked inside their homes, some of them struggling to make ends meet, Starmer was comfortably residing in a multi-million-pound property, thanks to the generosity of a Labour Party donor. The hypocrisy of this move has left many outraged, and it's raising uncomfortable questions about Starmer's leadership and judgment. Kevin Schofield, a journalist from GB News, weighed in on the situation, stating that these awkward revelations are overshadowing what should have been a positive moment for the Labour Party. Labour would have hoped to draw a line under this during their party conference season, he noted. Instead, the scandal is dominating the headlines and distracting from key policy discussions. Schofield went on to say that while the scandal doesn't quite reach the level of Boris Johnson's Partygate, it's still a significant problem for Starmer. And the timing couldn't be worse. Labour had hoped their recent party conference would provide a much-needed reset, a chance to shift the public conversation to issues like cost of living crises and the NHS. But this scandal has derailed those efforts. Now, instead of talking about their vision for the country, Starmer and his team are scrambling to manage the fallout from yet another controversy. Emily Carver, also from GB News, didn't mince words, calling the entire situation a disaster for the Labour leader. "The optics do not look good," she remarked, pointing out that Starmer's failure to address the issue directly only makes things worse. Instead of owning up to the decision to use Lord Ali's penthouse, Starmer has given vague explanations that only add fuel to the fire. Schofield echoed this sentiment, noting that Labour insiders have expressed frustration over Starmer's handling of the crisis. One insider reportedly said, "Every time he opens his mouth, it just makes it worse." So why does this scandal matter so much? Well, it strikes at the heart of a larger problem that Starmer has faced throughout his leadership, his inability to connect with ordinary voters. This latest blunder only reinforces the perception that Starmer is out of touch with the struggles of everyday people. While millions were making sacrifices, unable to see loved ones or go about their normal lives, Starmer was filming a public message from the comfort of a luxury penthouse. The contrast is staggering, and it's not going unnoticed by the British public. What's more, Starmer's relationship with Lord Ali is now under intense scrutiny. Lord Ali, a media mogul and prominent Labour peer, has been a significant financial backer of Starmer's leadership. His generosity to the party is well known, but now questions are being raised about what exactly Ali expects in return for his support. In a heated discussion on GB News, the topic of Lord Ali's gifts to Starmer was brought up, with some speculating that there could be more to this story than meets the eye. Schofield pointed out that Lord Ali has already achieved peerage status, so it's not clear what further favours he could be seeking from the government. However, one particularly troubling detail that has emerged is the fact that Ali was granted a special security pass shortly after the 2019 election, giving him access to key areas within government buildings. This unusual privilege raises eyebrows, as such passes are typically only granted to individuals with an ongoing need to be in those secure areas. The question remains, why was Lord Ali given such unprecedented access? As the scandal surrounding Starmer and Lord Ali unfolds, it's also worth noting that the political climate is becoming increasingly hostile, particularly between Labour and Reform UK. At Labour's party conference, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper launched a fierce attack on both the Conservative Party and Reform UK, branding them right-wing wreckers, responsible for undermining respect for the law and fostering division within British society. Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe did not take kindly to this characterisation. In a swift response, Lowe defended his party, stating that, "We represent the British people." He rejected Cooper's comments as nothing more than political posturing, accusing Labour of being completely out of touch with the concerns of ordinary voters. "I don't think in the history of this country we've ever been led by such left-wing, virtue-signalling, pork-barrelling clowns," he added, delivering a stinging rebuke to Labour's leadership. Lowe went on to warn that if Labour continues to ignore critical issues like immigration and crime, Reform UK could see significant gains in future elections, particularly in the so-called Red Wall seats. These areas, which traditionally supported Labour, shifted to the Conservatives in the 2019 general election, largely due to dissatisfaction with Labour's handling of issues like Brexit and immigration. Now, Lowe believes that Reform UK is well positioned to capitalise on that discontent and deal a further blow to Labour in upcoming elections. One of the most heated moments in the ongoing dispute between Labour and Reform UK came when Cooper accused the Conservatives and Reform UK of fostering two-tier policing, a system that allegedly favours left-wing protesters while cracking down harder on those with conservative views. This accusation struck a nerve with right-wing politicians who argue that the current government's approach to law and order has been too lenient on disruptive left-wing demonstrations while penalising those who support more traditional values. In response, Lowe criticised Labour's plans for law and order, calling them insufficient to address the growing problem of crime in Britain's streets. He argued that Labour's focus on introducing respect orders, a new version of the old ASBOS, does not go far enough to tackle the root causes of crime. According to Lowe, Labour's policies are more about optics than real solutions. As Keir Starmer grapples with the fallout from his latest scandal, his leadership appears increasingly fragile. The decision to film a national stay-at-home message from a luxury penthouse has backfired in spectacular fashion, exposing Starmer to accusations of hypocrisy and poor judgment. The scandal, which continues to dominate the headlines, has distracted from Labour's policy agenda and raised uncomfortable questions about Starmer's relationships with wealthy donors like Lord Ali. At the same time, tensions between Labour and Reform UK are escalating, with figures like Rupert Lowe positioning Reform UK as a viable alternative to both Labour and the Conservatives. As the political landscape shifts, it's clear that Starmer has a fight on his hands, both to maintain the trust of the British public and to fend off challenges from rival parties. But what do you think? Is this the beginning of the end for Keir Starmer's leadership, or will he manage to weather the storm? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on the biggest stories in UK politics.